For Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, the criticism just won't quit. Even more protests are scheduled today demanding his resignation after the city stalled releasing the dash cam video of the shooting death of 17-year-old Laquan McDonald. But police brutality claims are just one of the many issues the city is taking with its mayor. RT Simone Del Rosario is live in the newsroom now with more. Simone, protesters have shut down the streets outside of Midway Airport in Chicago earlier today, and more demonstrations are planned in just a few minutes. What's the latest?
Yeah, that's right. The next protest is supposed to take place in about 10 minutes, a walkout in the city of Chicago at 3:16 local time. Now, that time is significant for the demonstrators. They say 3 stands for the number of people they're trying to remove from office. Police Superintendent Garry McCarthy was already fired following the release of the dash cam video. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel is the second, and State's Attorney Anita Alvarez is the third. So that's the 3, and then 16 stands for the number of times Officer Jason Van Dyke shot 17-year-old Laquan McDonald. Now, a few hours ago, Officer Van Dyke actually appeared in court to have his indictment read to him. 6 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of official misconduct. He's going to be arraigned later this month. Now, he was met with protesters there chanting 16 times and a cover-up at court today. And, of course, that cover-up criticism getting slammed on Mayor Emanuel as well. Lindsay?
What sort of claims are they making that Emanuel actually helped to cover up this case?
Well, there's a lot of question marks surrounding how much Emanuel actually knew about this case and about the video that was just released a few weeks ago. And there's also a lot of opinions that keep circulating that Emanuel kept this video coming out specifically because he had a tough re-election to win for the mayoral race. So this was all happening when Laquan McDonald was killed, around the same time that Ferguson, Missouri was on fire, around the same time that Eric Garner in New York died after being held in a chokehold. So with his city was under that kind of scrutiny at the same time, certainly he would not be reelected mayor. In fact, he had a hard enough time being reelected, even though this video was not released. So he's coming under fire for that, but there's some other things as well. As if these protests were not enough related to police brutality, the Chicago Teachers Union just voted this week to authorize a strike, a vote that received 88% support. The city of Chicago is going through a budget crisis. They're threatening to lay off about 5,000 teachers. Of course, teachers fighting that charge, fighting those layoffs. They're calling for reduced standardized testing as well. They're fighting for their staffing to be increased and, of course, for smaller class sizes. Now, before Emanuel took office, there had not been a teacher strike in the city in 25 years. He took office in 2011, and since that time, this would be the 2nd teacher strike in Chicago. I was on the ground in 2012 when 5,000 teachers took to the street having certain demands for the city. Those were not met a few months later. The teachers went on strike for a full week. That affected nearly 400,000 students in the city of Chicago. And while this teacher strike would not happen for a few more months, if it does happen, the same will happen again.
That is a lot for any politician to face. But with all of this tension that's built, how likely is it that Emanuel would ever resign or even be recalled?
Well, there's no proof that Emanuel has even violated any sort of law, and there's actually nothing in current legislation, either the state or the city level, that would allow a locally elected official like a mayor to be recalled. So because of that, 2 Illinois Democrats introduced legislation, a path, if you will, to be able to recall Mayor Emanuel, if that's what it comes to. Here's what one of them, an Illinois rep, LaShawn Ford, told RT's Emanuel Rapolo last week in Chicago.
If we get enough people supporting that, calling for a recall, that sends a strong message that it may be time for the mayor to resign. So whether we get a recall immediately in the city of Chicago, we do have something where people could feel that the government is working for them because they have a bill that they could fight for. And if you have thousands and thousands of people signing the recall legislation and continue to protest and cause havoc in the city, it's going to force the mayor to have to resign.
Lindsay, we're not seeing any evidence that these protests surrounding the Laquan McDonald case are slowing down at all. Then if you add a teacher strike on top of it, it's really going to put a lot of pressure on Emanuel to resign. But at the same time, it's totally possible that he could just try to cruise through this tumultuous time in the city of Chicago and hope that it eventually passes over. Lindsay?
Thanks for keeping us updated there. RT correspondent Simone Del Rosario. Thanks.